I've had the opportunity to make a video outside for the first time in a long time. I'm pretty happy about that. I'm in the Waitakere Ranges, just northwest of Auckland, out towards the coast. The Manukau Harbour is just over that way. And you'll be able to hear planes taking off from the airport going that way. Off and off to Australia and further afield, that way there, which is the sun sitting up there to the west. So that's the west over there, that's the south over that way. Anyway, so I'm on a bridge making a video. I'm going to make one of those videos which I consider to be an inconvenient truth to some people. And I look at this situation, what I'm about to talk about in regards to how I perceive it, as to be not an inconvenient truth for me. It's just a truth. I'm not taking sides, not this side or that side. It's just a fact, and this is what I've learned over the years. And I understand this because of the nature of the research I've done. And I don't hold a side, because to me it's all shades of grey. And as my friend Nick Swain said many years ago, don't hate the players, hate the game. And in regards to the situation, I look at the game, not the players, because in the end it's the game that has the control over the players. And the players, it doesn't matter what gender they are, at the deepest level of the game, the players that are playing the game, who are enacting the most darkest rituals, occult rituals, and darkest rituals around the nature of sacrifice, human sacrifice quite often, that energy is possessed, those people are possessed by lower fourth dimensional entities. At the very core, from my own research, the very core of this information I'm about to share, and my perspectives on this information and the questions I'm about to ask, the very core of this information, the energy that is the most powerful energy within that sphere of influence is a woman, a matriarch. Okay, is a woman. Often, through my own experience and my own research, with people like Arizona Wilder, Transformation of America, and Revelations of a Mother Goddess, Revelations of a Mother Goddess by David Icke, the video that they made in the late 90s, I think it was, it becomes quite clear that the High Priestess, it becomes quite clear in the inner workings of the dark occult rituals, it becomes quite clear that the only gender capable of being a conduit for the lower fourth dimensional entities to come into this realm, into this frequency band, the only conduit able to hold that frequency and that energy in their body, in regards to bringing this frequency energy into this realm, is a woman. Because men cannot hold this frequency band, cannot hold the lower astral entities with an immense power in this dimension, cannot hold it for very long, if at all. They can't wield the power. Only women, due to the nature of their physiology and the nature of their energetic bodies, can hold that power in their bodies. And that's what I know through my own research. Whether I'm happy to be wrong, but that's what I understand in my research over the years. And I wrote about in the book United how the Alpha Draconis Queen, the albino Alpha Draconis Queen of the Alpha Draconis Empire, is the head of the empire, because she carries the codes, the bloodlines. She carries the codes, the bloodlines, and therefore she is the top of the hierarchy of the pyramid. She's the capstone. And in my book United, which I wrote in 2016, 2014 to 2016, she is the one that gets defeated by Pablo Wairua in order to bring in the paradigm shift. Because once you take her and bring her back into source energy, then the whole house of cards begins to topple, because she is the one that is the conduit for the archontic interdimensional AI, which I talk about in that book United as well. So for me, some people in my life, some women in my life have made a big kick up and a big stink about the idea of the patriarchy, controlling women over the decades and millennia, and on and on and on, and they've gone about the whole nature of the world we live in today, which to me is an inversion of the truth due to my own research, right? I feel as though both sexes have been equal, not necessarily equally, but both have been exploited in various ways. And the greatest exploitation in our modern age is not women, it is children. that are exploited the most. In order for these dark occultists to maintain their energetic control, they need to have children. And there's great work by people like G.G. Young, David Icke, and other researchers that have basically talked about the nature of the fact that children are utilized in these rituals, these dark occult rituals, for their energy, especially prepubescent children, for their energies, their adrenaline, their adrenochrome, their energetic bodies are more powerful and more able to harness these energies to feed these lower astral entities and beings who come into people's bodies, not necessarily just women, but also men within these dark rituals, in order to be able to siphon off the energy and maintain this level of the matrix, the simulation, this control field. But for me, I look at the historical context in regards to how men have been, if not more, and this is my perception, if not more, abused by not the patriarchy, but the game. The game. How many men for untold millennia have been slaves building empires and died building empires for these, there's a bird down there, I think, in the bush, building these empires. How many men died building empires, megalithic structures for empires, for rulers, men and women rulers? How many men died in wars for countless millennia? How many men were exploited for their sexual connection and for their sexual nature as sex slaves over how many millennia? When pedestry was also a big part of the cultural narrative and civilization in ancient Greece, ancient Rome, ancient Middle East, ancient Western traditions, you know, you can go on and on and on. Okay, there was definitely times in our history where women have been abused and have been definitely subjugated. True, yes, that's true. But if you look at the work of Manly P. Hall, he talks about the nature of the mother, the father, and the son. That trinity is very important, has been important through religion for many millennia. And Manly P. Hall's work around the nature of the occult in the 20th century, his explanations of the occult, going deeper on the work of people like Madame Blavatsky, and going deeper on the work of theosophy, going deeper on the work of many levels of the occult and hidden knowledge. Manly P. Hall's work is exemplary around the nature of looking at the nature of that trinity, the mother, the father, and the child, the son or the daughter. Has been a massive part of all religions. That trinity, the family, has been a big part of it. And what has certain aspects of it were brought into the world, feminism, sexual liberation for women, has that done to the family unit? I asked that question, and a lot of women don't want to talk about this, but to me it's like, well, those are those aspects: neo-feminism, feminism, and this sexual revolution for women. On some level, whether they're created by men or women is irrelevant to me, but they've broken down that family unit. They've broken down that family unit, and today we have transhumanism, which is taking that family unit even further. You know, women no longer giving birth anymore, but having babies born in test tubes, having robots with artificial wombs in China. You know, taking them away from women altogether. You know, and there's that sense of that transhumanist wave that's just taking place now in 2025. The whole idea of this is absolutely bananas and ludicrous. But a lot of women are applauding this. They don't want to have children. They don't want to carry the children to birth. And I'm like, this is crazy. But that's okay. Everyone's got the choice to make their own choices. But for me, the whole idea that this is all a patriarchy, the whole idea that the patriarchy has suppressed women for so long, and it's been the force and been the energy behind the suppression of women. For me, it's like, well, if I dig a little bit deeper, I see that the game is played on a level where men and women are possessed by these lower fourth dimensional entities, and they are possessed by these entities, and then therefore they lose their ability to have compassion and empathy for each other. And therefore, in that lack of compassion, they are at the will and behest of these entities who have possessed them. So they no longer have the ability to think, to feel, to have empathy, to actually connect to their spirit anymore, because they're possessed. And therefore, it isn't about men or women, it's the game being played on that level. So men and women become pawns in the game. So it's not about patriarchy or matriarchy. It's about an energy that's coming into this level, this frequency band, possessing men, possessing women. And in that way, and by doing this, it's about control. It's about harvesting consciousness, harvesting energy. It's about maintaining control. It's about, basically corralling your livestock, which is the human form, and in every energetic sense, to feed it, to feed yourselves, to harvest, whether it be cannibalism, food, like as in meat, as in blood, as in adrenochrome, as in hormones, as in adrenaline, or it be energetic. All those three. If you're from a lower fourth dimensional entity, or lower fourth dimensional astral level, if you're coming into this realm, in this frequency band, and you need to sustain yourself in regards to, e.g., sustain the body, on that level, all three of those aspects have to be maintained. And this is the whole point, is that it isn't just men, it's also women. Maybe, and I'm not saying it's equal in regards to proportions, it's irrelevant to me. What's important and what's relevant to me is the fact that we can't hate the players, it's the game we have to look at, as my friend Nick Swain used to say. Rather than saying and pointing a finger and saying, the patriarchy did this to me. If you look at the work of Manly P. Hall, and then you look at what he says in regards to religion, like I said before, the Trinity, the Father, the Mother, and the Child, that part of religion has been a massive part of all religions, all monotheistic religions, and all religions in general. Egypt, Sumer, Babylon, Greece, Rome, you can go on and on, Persia, on and on and on it goes, through all cultures across the entire world. That Trinity has been massive, has been a big part of all religious and all aspects of life in general, because that's how we got here in the first place. A man and a woman had sex and created a child, the body for a child, for a spirit to be housed in. That's how it works. You can't have a man and a man having sex and producing a baby for a child to be born in, or a woman and a woman having sex and having a baby for a spirit to incarnate into. It doesn't work that way. It's in this reality, in this realm, a man and a woman have sex, create a baby, create a child, a form for a spirit to incarnate into, and that spirit incarnates into a body eventually we call it a child. A baby to a child, to a young man, to a young woman, to an adult. That's how it works in this realm. I needed to start walking because people started coming towards me as I was filming, so on this trail here, so I thought I'd keep walking back to my vehicle. So to me, the whole idea of the patriarchy being the problem, it's once again, you're taking it, the energy's been misdirected. In my perception, it's been misdirected because you have to look at the game, not the players. Look at the big picture, dive deeper. It's not black and white, it's shades of grey. It's shades of grey, and the real essence of the real power, at least in the frequency band that we live in, we exist in, we call 3D, right? At least in that level, that deep occult level, way down the rabbit hole, the real conduit for the greatest power of all, to bring in that lower fourth dimensional energy, is a woman. She's the one that conducts it. She's the high priestess at these horrific dark rituals. But I'm not blaming it. There's no blame game here. I'm not saying like it's your fault. It's all damn the matriarchy. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that the greatest energy we need to put out our energy needs to be put into a place where we're looking at the situation, looking at what we're experiencing, not in a way that's black and white, but shades of grey. How's that for a view? Shades of grey. And in that sense, for me anyway, I don't look at the players and go like, damn the players. I look at the game and say, the game. Put my energy into bringing my heart opening up my heart up, and allowing the energy of my heart into the game, into the frequency band, to change it from the inside out. But also the real work begins with me. I'm the one that needs to do the work on me, to open up my heart more, to have more empathy, to anchor in more of my true nature, the love that I am, the love who I am and what I am. It doesn't matter if I'm a man or a goddamn woman, I'm both. And that in some ways energetically, as G.G. Young says, I might have a man's physical body, my energetic body is feminine. I can't give enough accolades for the work of G.G. Young. I consider him my teacher in regards to mysticism and my life now. ggyoung.com. So, you know, to me it's like, don't hate the players, hate the game. The whole idea of looking at the patriarchy and pointing the finger at the patriarchy is like more divide and rule. You know, it's more divide and rule for me. Whereas if people looked in the mirror and said, like, I'm the one that has to change and become the change I want to see in the world, how does that affect the quantum unified field? When we look at ourselves and go like, okay, the change in the world I want to see has to start with me. How do I open up my heart more to affect the unified field and therefore change it? You know, it comes down to each and every single one of us. And that, in that sense there, for me at least anyway, that's where it begins and that's where it ends. Thanks for watching, I truly appreciate it. Mate wa. I'll see you again soon.